দর্শক বিরতির পর সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি আমাদের আজকের এই ফ্ল্যাশ অনুষ্ঠানে। বিরতির আগে তিনজন অতিথি ছিলেন, তিনটি রাজনৈতিক দল থেকে তারা নিউহাম ইলেকশনে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন, মেয়রাল ইলেকশন পদে তারা লড়ছেন। এই পর্বে আমাদের সাথে আছেন নিউহামের আরেকজন মেয়রাল ক্যান্ডিডেট, যিনি গ্রিন পার্টি থেকে নিউহাম মেয়র ইলেকশনের জন্য প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন, জনাব এরিক চৌধুরী। এরিক, ওয়েলকাম টু দ্য শো।
Welcome.
So, you are a councillor. You were elected as a Labour councillor. Then you defected to Green Party, and you are now Green Party councillor. Tell us more about you, your background, your upbringing,
Sure.
your career, your family, your politics.
Sure. So I grew up in Manchester, and I lived in Newham for about 13 years. My family is from Bangladesh. My root here is through my grandfather, my mother's father, who was working on a ship many years ago, docked in at Liverpool. And he told his boss he was going to go for a walk, and then he just basically stayed, right? So I've found my way from Liverpool to London over many, many decades. And in my work life, I work in public policy. I advise governments about technology policy. I've been to Downing Street, the White House, Beijing, Brussels, all over the world to advise governments about how to regulate artificial intelligence and technology policy more generally. I'm a parent. I've got two young children, a 3-year-old daughter and a 3-month-old son who was born during this election campaign. And I've been very interested in politics since I was around 16, 17 years old. A few things that got me interested. I would say interested in formal politics because of the 2008 financial crash, because suddenly politics was everywhere, right? For me, anyway, from my perspective, politics was everywhere during the financial crash, and it led me to study economics and political science. And I studied economics and political science at university in Birmingham, where I met my wife, and I met my wife through Palestine solidarity activism. But also, I would say, like, beyond that, I've always been kind of informally interested in politics because I grew up in a relatively white area, so I've experienced a lot of racism. So anti-racism for me has been a big driver as well of my politics. And again, at university, I was very much into anti-racist activism. And I was a member of the Labour Party for more than 10 years. And the reason I left the Labour Party was a week before the general election. I decided that I couldn't vote for the Labour Party because of their complicity in the genocide in Gaza, but also I think they had started pandering to the right and abandoning their principles and trying to sort of out-Farage, Nigel Farage on immigration and all these other sorts of issues, where it became very alien from the party that I joined as a 18, 19-year-old, which was all about join the human rights, anti-racist, pro-worker party. I didn't really recognise that when during the genocide in Gaza, it took more than 10,000 children were killed in Palestine before the Labour Party could say ceasefire now.
We'll come to that. Sure. So basically, the Gaza issue was a triggering moment for you to leave the Labour Party and join the Greens.
Yeah, and the Green Party, were very consistent on Palestine in terms of standing up for it. But
I'll also come to that.
Sure.
But of course, people are angry about it. But it doesn't solve the problem of council tax. It doesn't solve the problem of fly tipping, car park, business rates, poverty.
So I would respectively massively disagree with you. So the thing with politics is that you don't vote for people, in my opinion, I don't think people vote for people based just on policies. You vote for people based on their values and their integrity. So when people vote for the Labour Party, they're not voting for a detailed, costed manifesto every time. They're voting for a party that aligns with their values and their principles. So a lot of people, they vote for the Labour Party because they're the pro-worker party, and that's enough for them.
So why didn't you challenge the party?
I challenged the party lots of times within the Labour Party. I tried to change it from within. I was told by a Labour MP, if you want to make it in the Labour Party, delete your tweets about Palestine. I was told, don't go to the Palestine solidarity protests. We were emailed that, actually. We were emailed that by
Well, there are lots of MPs actually joined the Palestine solidarity campaign.
After again, it took 10,000 children were killed before the Labour Party says ceasefire now.
There are lots of MPs currently serving as an MP, as MPs of the Labour Party. They're still protesting what happened in Gaza.
It's not good enough. In my opinion, it's not good enough.
So
'Cause
what I'm saying, and they are trying. I mean, who are in this case? How do you compare politicians who are in better position to change the Labour Party policies on Gaza? The people who are inside, or the people like yourself who left the party?
I mean, you need a bit of both, if I'm honest with you. You do need people on the inside changing it, but you also need people to take a stand.
And you choose the easier one, right? Easy part.
I disagree completely.
Leaving a party and joining another party is the easiest part.
I joined the Green Party when they were polling about 4%. That's a much more challenging thing to have done.
The people who supported reform, they could say the same. They joined the Reform Party when they had no seats in the House of Commons.
It's a big deal for people to join the
Green
Reform Party
had seats. Green Party had seats in the House of Commons.
Not when I joined it. They had one MP when I joined.
This is what I'm saying. They had at least one party member who was sitting in the House of Commons. They ran council in places. So they had some standing in local and national politics. And Reform Party didn't have anything.
Let me tell you why I disagree. So, the reason I disagree is because it's very easy to just sit there and think, oh, someone else will do it. Someone else will do the hard thing and leave.
Coming back to Niham, give us your key pledges. Tell us about your key pledges for the people of Niham.
Sure. So there's 3 elements of my platform. The first is to root out the corruption and incompetence at Niham Council. The second is to ensure we've got the best possible environment to live in with clean streets and beautiful parks. And the third is to radically reform Niham's housing department so that it serves residents properly as a responsible landlord. And your viewers might not be aware, but the council is currently being...
What does responsible landlord mean?
So the council was given the worst possible rating by the independent regulator for social housing.
Right.
And what was involved in that was thousands of overdue repairs, fire safety checks not being done. As a councillor, most of the casework I deal with is around housing. And I'll give you an example. One of the people I'm dealing with at the moment is a breast cancer patient sleeping on a sofa in an overcrowded flat with damp and mold and a mice infestation. Okay. This is completely, and there's lots of cases like this.
Yeah.
It's a completely undignified way for people to live. And as a landlord, the council is a social landlord. That's one of its biggest responsibilities as a organisation. It needs to be looking after its tenants, and it hasn't been doing that. And it's been told this by an official regulator. It was the first time they've ever given such a low, the worst possible grading, right? So for me, that should be the number one priority. And you'll see other candidates in this election, they're prioritising car parking as though car parking is the biggest issue facing the borough. What I'm standing for and the message I've got to the voters is that the housing crisis is the biggest crisis that's facing Niham. We've got 35,000 people
on the council house waiting list. We've got
1 in 18 people are homeless.
And you are also talking about the clean borough, green borough as well. So what is your plan for reducing the 40,000 waiting list?
So the waiting list or the cleanliness of the borough?
Waiting, I'm talking about the housing.
So this is very difficult. We're the only party that published a manifesto, first of all. And in our manifesto, we've set out a whole chapter on housing. Lots of things you need to do. First is you have a lot of people in temporary accommodation. And temporary accommodation, in case your viewers, again, aren't aware, a lot of people are in temporary accommodation for 10 years plus, right? So it's not really temporary. That's their accommodation. Yeah. And one of our policies is to make sure that people who live in temporary accommodation have a decent standard of living, so they have access to Wi-Fi, cooking facilities, washing facilities, clear lines of communication with the council. So a lot of people that are left lingering in these situations, they're not safe, or they're again, another resident I've dealt with is someone who had a stoma bag but was too scared to go out and change it because people were taking drugs in their flat. Right, these can be quite scary conditions for people to live in. But if you're there for 10 years, and if we can't build houses that quickly, we have to make sure that people in temporary accommodation are having a good standard of living, a decent and dignified standard of living. So that'll be a big priority for me. Second is to build more affordable housing. Everyone will say this, obviously, but our policy is to have at least 50%, 50% social housing in borough. So if any developer that comes and wants to build on our land, 50% of that should be social housing. And that is also in the current...
Any other council in the whole country where the developers are giving 50%?
I mean, that's the current Niham council policy is also 50%. It's just not being implemented.
Is this practical for developers? Is it lucrative, attractive for investment?
I mean, this is a big it's a big challenge, but I would say there's no other choice, right?
Because when it comes to competitiveness, if your neighbouring boroughs are accepting 35% or 40%, and if you are offering 50%, Is this practical?
The problem, though, is like the status quo isn't working because you've got 35,000 people on the council house waiting list.
That means you need more homes.
Yeah, but if you build a
But
block...
if you don't build more homes, how can you reduce the waiting list?
Those homes need to go to people, right? So like what the homes we have now that are built, some of them they're like 10% affordable, right? And even then, they're not real family homes. They're one bed, two bed flats, right? So it's not actually solving the problem. So a lot of these flats are foreign investments. They're not even people living in them, they're empty. So when we talk about developers building homes, they need to go to local people. And we need to be very, very clear with developers that when you build on our land, it's a privilege to do so, and it's a privilege to build homes for our residents. And if you're making profit, fine, but you need to be serving our needs, which is 35,000 people on the council house waiting list.
So when you say
people being
your
homeless.
land, are you giving the land to the land developers?
So Newham, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I
so
mean, are they buying it or you're just giving it?
They have to buy
It's
it,
a
of course, yeah, of course. But the problem is, like, there's no other alternative. Right. So, like, it would be easy for me to say...
what I'm saying, I mean...
you have to have a threshold. So if I say
you have to, of course you have to have a threshold.
Yeah.
But if it is 50%, and you couldn't tell me if there is any other council in the whole country where developers are giving 50%, right? Yeah. So, it's about developing, it's about money, it's about people investing, the companies investing. Yeah. And why would they come to you when they have other options where...
People have made the same argument about every minimum anything, right? So minimum wage, they made this argument.
If the current policy is 50%, and if it's not working, you're going to follow the same policy?
I don't think it's being enforced. And I think one of the reasons why it's not being enforced is because of how close the Labour Party is to developers.
Well, there were 15 years, there was Conservative Party.
Sure, but you might have seen recently that the Housing Secretary had a dinner with the housing developers at £2,000 a head, right? So that you've got developers donating to Labour politicians, which is a big problem, right?
Look, all developers donate to the political parties.
Not in the Green Party, they don't.
I'm not talking about Green Party. I'm talking about whoever in power or the opposition. Yeah. I mean, they have to have the business relationship with political parties.
They don't have to take their money. They don't have to take their money, and this is a big difference that people don't know about the Green Party.
I'm not talking about the taking money. What I'm saying, the business relationship.
Sure.
What I'm saying, if the current policies are not working,
they're not enforced. I don't think they're not working. Yeah, but go on.
They are not even. If they come to develop, then there's a question of enforcement.
Sure.
But are people coming? Are developers coming to develop?
Developers have bought land and haven't built on some parts, right? The problem, again, I would repeat, is we have 35,000 people on the waiting list. It's pointless if you don't have a threshold.
Do you have any figure how many houses were built in last 5 years?
I don't have the figures on top of my head. But
do you have any plan how many houses you want to build if you're becoming mayor for next 4 years?
We need to build enough to reduce that 35,000. I'm not going to make a pledge that's going to... So you'll see some... It'll be very easy for me to say I'm going to build 10,000, 20,000.
That means you don't have any plan. No ambition.
I want to reduce the council house waiting list significantly.
The government, the UK government, the Labour Party government, they said...
I mean, look, Labour Party set targets and miss them all the time.
They're going to build 1.5 million houses in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And we're still... 2 years has gone.
Sure.
And we're still... want to see how many they have actually built.
But this is, again, why people don't...
To be fair with them, they have a plan. So I'm coming to you. The Tower Hamlets, mayor, all the mayor candidates, especially Labour and the Aspire, they have a plan.
Yeah, so okay. I would repeat two things. First of all, only the Green Party in this election in Newham have published a manifesto. Labour haven't, and nor have the Newham Independents. So only the Green Party have actually published a plan for what we're going to do. They've just published pledges. I will do this, and with no explanation of how they're going to do it. So only the Green Party have a plan for Newham. Second thing is, again,
so you have a detailed manifesto, you are saying. So their one is manifesto, right?
Whose has a manifesto?
They said they launched a manifesto.
Where's Labour's manifesto?
What is it then?
They haven't published one.
What is it?
Labour's manifesto?
Yeah.
They haven't published one.
What do they say?
So I've heard that they tried to publish a manifesto and it got blocked by the Central Party.
Okay.
But if you try to Google the Labour manifesto, you won't find it because it doesn't exist, right?
So, I mean, if, for example, now you do not know how many you're going to build, how many houses...
So let me finish my answer on this. So the reason, again, I repeat, people have the lowest level of trust in politicians right now than they've ever had, worse than the expenses scandal. Part of that is that politicians come on programmes like this and make pledges that sound great but don't actually get met. So all of Labour's targets, 1.5 million, this 1.5, they never get meet. They never meet.
There is other way of seeing it.
They're not plans though.
But there is other
sound bites, right?
There is other version of it.
Sure, go on.
You don't make any pledge, you don't do anything. You come after 4 years, you can tell me, oh, look, I haven't pledged anything.
So I'm the only politician that's actually published a manifesto, and if you read it, you'll see what our plans are. The plan is to make sure that people living in temporary accommodation have access to Wi-Fi, washing facilities, cooking facilities,
You
a
don't
good,
have
decent
any,
standard of living.
you don't have any pledge.
We want to reduce
you don't have any pledge how many you are aiming to reduce, how many in terms of waiting list,
Sure.
what's the number that you want to
I mean,
see
I would like
after
to
4
reduce
years?
that 35,000 down to 0, ideally, right? But
That's not practical, though.
well, look, 1.5 million, all of these targets that you hear politicians say, they don't actually have, they're not actual plans, they're just sound bites.
Yeah.
Why 1.5 million, not 1.38 million, right? It's just a number.
What is it? What could be a realistic figure from 35,000 waiting list to, let's say?
Let me answer it a different way. So like, I would look back, I would want to, at the end of my 4 years,
Yeah.
I would like to measure my success based on reducing our homelessness rate from 1 in 18, which is the worst in the entire country.
1 in 18?
1 in 18 people in Newham are homeless.
18?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the highest in England,
And-
right?
okay.
I would like to absolutely wipe that out so that we don't have that kind of high level of homelessness.
Okay, 1 in 18, what's the figure? What's the total figure?
I don't know the exact
All right,
figure,
that's
but
fine.
1 in
Okay.
18 people that live in Newham are homeless.
That's
right?
that's really, really
We've
bad.
got 35,000 people on the council house waiting list. I want to get that down massively.
Right.
And again, the only way you can do this is to build huge amounts of affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pointless having these big tower blocks go up that are just foreign investments or one bed, 2-bed flats. Most of the people that come to see me, they're families of 4, families of 5, families of 6 even, right? They need homes to live in, not 1-bed apartments in
So-
a tower block that is largely sitting empty, right? Which is what a lot of these developments are.
Coming back to your national politics
Mm-hmm.
and how it will have an impact on your local policies.
Yeah.
Wealth tax is a crucial pledge of the Green Party
Yep.
nationally. Are you going to implement that in Newham?
That's not how it works. So the local manifesto is what I've published, which
Yeah.
is things that we can control as a council. We can't obviously implement a wealth tax. What we can do as a council is lobby government. So one of the things in my manifesto, for example, is to lobby the government to abolish right to buy. So right to buy has been, in my opinion, one of the most damaging housing policies in the last 30 years because it's effectively privatised the social housing stock in a way that is unsustainable because the houses are sold off far more quickly than you can build them. And what you've seen over the last 30 years is a complete depletion of the council housing stock, which is why we've had such a massive problem.
Do you
It's-
support wealth tax?
Of course, yeah, but you can't implement it as a council.
No,
local
no,
council,
I'm
sure,
not
yeah.
saying you're going to implement this
Yeah.
through the council, but
Sure.
you support wealth tax.
Yes.
And how are you going to bring the investment in a council, in a borough like Newham, by supporting taxing the wealth, taxing the rich people, taxing the investors?
You can make this argument about any tax. So you can make this argument about any tax whatsoever. Like, why would anyone pay tax? Because they're not going to invest in the UK, right? You have to have, again, and I go back to this point. You have to have some values and ideas and principles of what the world should be like.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Green Party, and especially under our leader Zach Polensky, we've made a very strong case that right now we have a massive amount of inequality. Again, we've got huge amounts of during COVID. The richest people in the country got richer, and like the poorest people got poorer.
Yes,
The inequality massively increased.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to look at society and think, is it acceptable that we have so many billionaires who have money that they'll never know how to spend in their entire lifetime, while people are queuing up at food banks, right? So we need to
Balance that.
solve that, right? And that's really what the wealth tax is about. It's not about taxing, your local successful businessman. It's about taxing the super wealthy billionaires, right, who have so much money that they would never be able to spend it in their entire lifetime, even if they tried. And again, like, this is a moral position, because if we don't do this kind of thing, we don't think big, we're just going to live forever with mass amounts of homelessness and mass amounts of people going hungry. And the Green Party, again, is really trying to make the case that we need to reduce inequality. We've got, and what really drew me towards the Green Party was that they are focused on these big questions.
Right.
We're not kind of trying to do managed decline, which is what I see the Labour Party as, and also the Conservative Party a little bit. We are trying to transform our society so that poverty doesn't need to exist anymore, that we protect our planet. We put an end to wars, right? All of these big ideas. And politics, it should be idealistic, by the way. Politics, you should be thinking, what is the ideal world you want to build?
Right.
And to do any of those things, you need to have big ideas. And you can't have a situation where people are able to make billions of pounds and not contribute to their society.
We're towards the end of the program. So last few questions,
Yeah.
and very briefly. So you are a very active supporter of Gaza war, anything to do with anti-war. You are supporting,
Sure.
of course, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. And that's, of course, very important to the Muslim values. Muslim people of Newham especially the Muslim community,
Sure.
feel for people of Gaza. But at the same time, you are also very, the Green Party is a core supporter of LGBTQ community. How do you see these two communities from totally two different values? And you are supporting both values, totally kind of two opposite values, you know, two different community, two opposite values, but you are supporting both of them.
Yeah.
How does it work for you?
And I think people really need to understand this, and people need to understand that Neom is a very diverse borough.
Yeah.
With all sorts of communities. It's not just Muslim communities or Bangladeshi communities. I'm not in this election pursuing one community. I'm here to represent the whole of Neom. And if you look at our candidates in the Neom Green Party, it's very, very diverse. Every single community, every single walk of life, genders, whatever, right? And everyone is united by the ideas and the principles that the Green Party stands for. No one is involved in the Green Party to say you should live your life like this, and I should live my life like this, right? As long as people don't harm each other, what does it matter, right? So like some people, they hate Muslims, but if we don't affect their life, then why should they care, right? And if people hate LGBT people, you know, why do you actually care if it doesn't affect your life? And this is the argument I would make, is that people who are joining the Green Party, you know, part of it is, yes, it's inclusive of different identities. As in, you can have an LGBT leader and a Muslim deputy leader, which is what we have in the Green Party right now. But it's not about your identity that draws you in. It's about the ideas that the party stands for, and that's why we're so diverse, and that's why we're so big, because we're trying to represent, you know, the
Do you
UK,
get lots
the people
of
of the UK.
questions about it?
You know, if you have a problem with someone being LGBT, then the Green Party probably isn't for you. If that's your big political mission, right? Then, you know, a lot of these parties won't be for you, frankly, if you're a Muslim, because all of the parties are pro-LGBT, in my opinion, as they should be, because, you know, this is a progressive liberal society where we, you know, as people should be able to live their lives how they are, right? But people, again, are joining the Green Party for what we stand for. We want to tackle inequality. All of our policies are around tackling inequality, protecting the planet, and yes, you know, standing on these human rights issues.
Thank
And
you.
that's what draws people to the Green Party.
You have 30 seconds directly to the camera.
This camera.
Yeah. And to the voters of Nihom.
So in this election, the vote in the Mayor of Neom race is between the Green Party and the Labour Party. And the Green Party are offering a real plan for Neom. We're the only party that published a plan. And we will build the Neom we can be proud of, where we tackle homelessness, alleviate poverty, and ensure we've got the best possible environment to live in.
দেখছিলেন এরিক চৌধুরীর ইন্টারভিউ, এবং আমরা কথা বলছিলাম গ্রিন পার্টির তার যে প্লেজেস, গ্রিন পার্টির যে ভবিষ্যৎ, গ্রিন পার্টি নিয়ে নিউহামে গ্রিন পার্টির অবস্থান, এবং নিউহামের জন্য এরিক চৌধুরীর যে প্ল্যান আছে সেগুলি আমরা শুনছিলাম, এবং একই সাথে কিছু গুরুত্বপূর্ণ প্রশ্ন, লোকাল বিষয়, ইন্টারন্যাশনাল বিষয় এবং ন্যাশনাল বিষয় নিয়ে আমরা তার সাথে কথা বলছিলাম। আপনারা নিশ্চয়ই শুনেছেন তিনি আরেকজন ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি, যেভাবে ফরহাদ হুসাইন একজন ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি, তিনিও আরেকজন ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি, যে এই নিহম থেকে যারা এক্সিকিউটিভ মেয়র হিসেবে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন। একই সাথে মাহমুদ মির্জার ইন্টারভিউ আমরা নিয়েছি, এবং কনজারভেটিভ পার্টির মেয়রাল ক্যান্ডিডেটেরও আমরা ইন্টারভিউ নিয়েছি। আমরা আশা করি এই অনুষ্ঠানটি আপনাদের ভালো লেগেছে। আমরা এটি চেষ্টা করেছি যে মূল যারা ক্যান্ডিডেট আছেন নিহমে, তাদের সবাইকে একসাথে করতে এবং সবার ইন্টারভিউ নিতে। এই অনুষ্ঠানের পরে অন্য কোনো নিহমের মেয়রাল ক্যান্ডিডেট যদি আমাদের সাথে যোগাযোগ করেন বা আমাদের সাথে যদি যোগাযোগ হয়, তারা যদি ইন্টারভিউ দিতে চান, আমরা অবশ্যই ইলেকশনের আগে যদি ইন্টারভিউ দিতে চান, আমরা অবশ্যই চেষ্টা করব সর্বোচ্চ যে তাকেও যেন আমরা অ্যাকোমোডেট করতে পারি। এবারের নির্বাচনে অনেকগুলি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বিষয় এবং আমাদের সামনে ইতিহাস সৃষ্টি করারও সুযোগ। সবাইকে বিনীতভাবে অনুরোধ করব, অবশ্যই ভোট দেবেন। যারা পোস্টাল ভোট এখনও দিয়ে দিয়েছেন, অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। আর যারা কেন্দ্রে সেন্টারে যা ভোট দেবেন, অবশ্যই ভোট দেবেন, বিকজ এই ভোটের মাধ্যমেই কিন্তু আপনি পরিবর্তন যেমন আনতে পারবেন, একই সাথে আপনি আপনার পছন্দের যিনি প্রার্থী, সেই প্রার্থীকেও বিজয়ী করতে পারবেন। যদি কোনো প্রার্থীকে আপনার পছন্দ হয়, যে আপনি চান সেই প্রার্থী আবার অব্যাহত থাকুক, তিনি তার কাজকে কন্টিনিউ রাখুক, তাকেও আপনারা রাখতে পারবেন। নতুন কোনো প্রার্থীকে যদি আপনারা চান বিজয়ী করতে, সেই সুযোগও এই নির্বাচনের মাধ্যমে করা সম্ভব। আমাদের যারা এল্ডারলি কিংবা বয়োজ্যেষ্ঠরা আছেন, পরিবারের অন্যান্য সদস্যদের উচিত তাদেরকে সাহায্য করা, ভোটের কেন্দ্রে নিয়ে যাওয়া, এবং তাদের যদি শরীর সুস্থ থাকে ভোট কেন্দ্রে নিয়ে যাওয়া, এবং ভোট প্রদানের পর তাদেরকে আবার নিয়ে আসা। শুধুমাত্র পরিবারের যারা সদস্য আছেন তাদের নিশ্চয়ই এই বিষয়ে একটু তারা দায়িত্ব পালন করবেন বলে আমরা প্রত্যাশা করি। আশা করি এই ফ্ল্যাশ আপনাদের ভালো লেগেছে। আমরা আগামী অনুষ্ঠান দেখার আমন্ত্রণ জানিয়ে আজকের মতো এখানেই শেষ করছি। সবাই ভালো থাকবেন। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।